Alright, today's video we're going to be talking about two different plays. One is going to be verticals, the other one is going to be mesh spot or mesh post. We're going to go ahead and get into the more difficult one is mesh spot. I'm going to say mesh spot is actually a little bit better than verticals because it beats everything just like verticals does, but there's some more adjustments you have to do to it. We're going to be using DB Fire 2 for this particular one. Now for our defense, we're going to go ahead and baseline press. And what we're going to do is we're going to get really crazy here. We're going to go ahead and cross man both of these guys. Cross man him to the tight end, cross man him to the running back, vert hook, and then this is going to be your user. Leave him on a blitz so the game registers it as a 4-man pass rush. If you drop yourself into a zone or anything else that's not an actual blitz assignment, the pass rush basically becomes non-existent. So we're gonna go ahead and also pass command right here because it helps with sheds. And then we're going to simply just watch whoever we need to watch. So we're going to snap this ball. The crossman's going to go ahead and go crazy. And then there's going to be absolutely nothing open. Now, what ends up happening is with cross manning in this particular play, they get underneath these seam wheel routes from the tight end and the running back. That is what makes this play so good against stock man-to-man. Is because you can low point pass it. But if you notice right there, we've got that guy doubled up. And this guy right here is underneath, so you can actually make a play on the ball carrier. And obviously they can't snap through that seam wheel route, otherwise it's going to be a pick. And on top of that, we also have the tight end. So remember, we cross-man the tight end as well. So right there, we got a really unfortunate bump. But again, they cannot throw that. The deep half is going to play over the top. At that point, the deep half is reacting to the wheel route from the running back. So that's about the mesh spot. That's mesh post. Mesh post is going to be the same thing. Obviously, there's just not a spot route. It's a post route. So if they're running mesh post, the other adjustment you want to make is go ahead and drop this guy into mid-read instead, or drop one of these two guys into mid-read, and then user whoever else you would normally cross-man in this situation. So if you go ahead and drop this guy say into mid-read, you're going to have to go ahead and user the running back. Drop this guy into mid-read, you're going to have to go ahead and user the tight end. So what I like to do, if you're going to go ahead and say they run mesh post on you, you're obviously going to go ahead and cross-man and run something like this. So you can go ahead and put this guy in vertical, and then user this guy for the post route. Take care of the post route with mid read, and then you're gonna go ahead and cross man, take care of the running back, and then you're gonna have to go ahead and manually user the tight end. So kind of something like this. Now this is it's stock, so you can see right there, nothing open at all, and eventually they're gonna take a sack. So that's mesh spot, that's mesh post. Let's go ahead and talk about verticals. Verticals is probably the biggest headache in the entire game. We're actually going to go ahead and swap plays. We're going to be using Edge Blitz 2 if they're going to go ahead and run verticals on us. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about Gunbut's verticals and how you can at least try and slow this down. The only time you're really going to be able to stop verticals is inside the 20. Inside the 30, you can pull this off as well. But you got to get really crazy with the adjustments you have to make any further outside the 30. Essentially, you want to play a bend don't break against verticals. You want to make sure you keep everything in front and not give anything over the top. Now, verticals, there's two different things we have to worry about. One is the running back, one is the tight end wheel route. The other one is the slot crosser. This crosser gets over the top of everything. Gets over the top of 30-yard zone drops, gets over the top of crossman, it beats crossman, it beats quarters, it beats pretty much everything in the game. So we're gonna go ahead and either manually user the crossing route, or we're gonna get really crazy and drop this safety LB into a hook curl, man up X, and let's just go ahead and say they running back on a wheel route like most people do. They'll go ahead and run like this, something like that. Then we're going to go ahead and change our user up. Now, we're going to QB contain. If you guys missed out the blitz for this, check it out. Link in the description, or it's going to be popping up on the screen right now. Now, we're going to go ahead and take RB and put him into a flat, whether it's curl flat or a hard flat. Either one's going to go ahead and work just fine. B on an outside third, A on an inside third, and this is what the play is looking like. Now, right now, it's not obviously going to show up because it's Madden 22 and practice mode is broken, but we're going to go ahead and just snap this ball. And again, you need to go ahead and use the crosser. You can see right there, the hook curl is going to play it late. It's going to match without zone drops, without shading, because if you shade, it's going to change this entire thing up completely. Pretty darn simple stuff. You do have to realize you got to play a bend don't break try as hard as you can to keep everything in front of you. As you get inside the 20, as you get inside the 15, passing becomes a little bit more difficult and defense becomes a little bit more realistic. And the fact that if you got red zone defense, you're generally going to get a good stop against a below average or even an average player. But again, one more time for verticals, LB into hook curl. The hook curl is going to match that crosser. We're going to go ahead and man up our slot corner on that side of the field to Y, or the running back, so something like this, X to X. And then we're going to go ahead and keep it contained, put RB into a hard flat, just in case they're to run the variation like this, where they will go ahead and put the running back on an out route. Most people like to run on a wheel route, but some will run on an out route if they see that you are manning it up. Then we're going to go ahead and put A into an inside third, B on an outside third, and run it like this. Eventually the game will show you what I'm doing, but for now, of course, it's not going to. So we'll snap this ball. We'll go ahead, get a disengage, get a shed, and then there is absolutely nothing open at all. Of course, sometimes a crosser is going to be matched by the hooker a little bit late. And so you want to go ahead and try and double up against the crosser from the slot receiver. Now let's talk about mesh spot / mesh post. Let's talk about verticals. There's a couple different adjustments you have to make for the plays. And honestly, that's probably the hardest thing about Madden 22 with defense, is the fact that there are just so many different adjustments you have to make on defense, each for a specific play. And since offense can come out with basically 5 different plays, they choose one, they've got 4 others to choose from. That's what makes defense so impossible, because there's not a generic kind of defense that can cover a lot of it, and then you have to adjust just finite stuff. You have to adjust finite stuff for everything, which makes it pretty much impossible on top of that, because zones just suck to do anything in this game. So if you guys are new to the channel and you're struggling on defense against Gun Bunch, we'll be talking about it more on Friday when we go and break down the Wesley versus Henry Madden Bowl game. So stay tuned for that, and we'll catch you guys in that video.